On this edition of Mike Drop Dallas, we're all about the need for speed. We're joined by NHRA top fuel dragster Justin Ashley, who tells us exactly what it's like to go 330 miles an hour in less than 4 seconds. Then we're joined by new Texas Motor Speedway General Manager Mark Faber, who shares his ideas on engaging with young fans and decouching, I love that term, decouching race fans in North Texas. And finally, you're not going to want to miss our conversation with multimedia sports and entertainment star Ro Parrish. He previews the Maverick season for us, and he tells us what he thinks is going to happen with the Will Smith situation. So another good one for you. Let's drop the mic and let's go. Welcome to Mike Drop Dallas, everybody, the official podcast of the Dallas Sports Commission. Kevin Sullivan here, joined by Dallas Sports Commission Executive Director Monica Paul. Next Level Marcus Carr also with us. Thanks for listening, for watching on YouTube. We really appreciate it. This is the only podcast where you can hear from the movers and shakers of Dallas sports and sports business on and off the fields of play. So if you like what we're doing here, please give us a 5-star rating. It would help. Monica, normally we begin by asking you what's going on at the Sports Commission. But on our last episode, you said at one point, as we discussed the AT&T Red River Showdown, it's all about the hook'em. And it certainly was 49-0 Longhorns. I just have to give you the floor here. I mean, have you come back down to earth yet?
No, silly. I'm still on cloud nine. It's quite amazing. I love the what the media or others are calling it, the Red River shutout. It's long overdue. It's been some painful years here for Texas and against Texas OU, but it's my favorite weekend out of the year always. Just the energy that it brings to Dallas, to the State Fair, to Cotton Bowl Stadium. What that rivalry and what that game means for our community is just amazing. And, when you get a Texas win and a win like that, that just pretty much, that's a cherry on top for me. So I don't know. It starts putting me back into what if at the beginning of the season, if our quarterback hadn't gotten hurt and whatnot, and what that Alabama game could have ended up being. But you know what? I'm excited to see this team play. It's definitely a different style of football and different level of football than what Texas has been playing in the past. So it gives me hope and still very exciting. So I'll probably hang on to this one for a while, Sully.
You normally get as excited or more excited about the economic impact of the events you bring here. This is about $50 million worth in economic impact. But I think in this case, you're actually more excited about that shutout win, the first in the series since 1965.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. The economic impact of my business case and what I do on a day-to-day basis. Yep. That's top of mind. But, always on Friday, we host a Texas OU bash with the Cotton Bowl Athletic Association and Rick Baker and Marty and Michael and their team out there. So we always partner on that. And I have to be neutral. So I have to go there wanting to put on my burnt orange, but having to be neutral. So, but Saturday it turns to straight burnt orange. So, I've heard that the stadium started to get empty pretty quickly there for the Oklahoma fans who just couldn't take it any longer. But I did hear that a lot of people stayed at the State Fair long into the evening in Dallas. So that contributes to that economic impact for us.
Yeah, the State Fair rocking and rolling. I was out there Sunday to check out the Mavericks vault that we talked about last time with Nico Harris. Highly recommend it. Really cool. 42 years of Mavericks history all laid out in the Hall of State. Really cool. The weather has been perfect, as it always is in Dallas, of course. Record attendance, if I'm not mistaken. So kudos to our friend Mitch Gleber. And little shout out to the PR team, Carissa, Delaney, and that crew out there for helping getting the word out, because they are humming out there. And I have to mention, I said I was going to go see Lucinda Williams at the Chevrolet main stage, and I did with my family. It was awesome. my granddaughter Eleanor's first concert. It was really cool. Way to go to the State Fair Texas team. They are really rocking it, as are the Cowboys at 4-1 going into a big Sunday night matchup in Philadelphia against the undefeated Eagles. The Stars are getting underway. The home opener Saturday against the Predators. The Mavericks opening right around the corner. Tony Fay PR had media members out at PGA Frisco this week trying their hand at the new championship course. More on that, I'm sure, to come in future episodes of Mic Drop Dallas. But Monica, we also want to wish our friends at FC Dallas the best of luck as the playoffs get underway in Frisco.
Very excited for our friends, Dan Hunt, Jimmy Smith, Gina Miller out at FC Dallas. Been working hard, had some challenges over the last few years for FC Dallas and getting in that playoff run and trying to stay in the playoff run. So excited to see that, especially what it means to our region from a soccer standpoint, heading into, probably some could say the most important years for soccer here in North Texas over these next 3 years as we gear up for 2026 World Cup. Still a lot to be determined there, but definitely exciting to see our home MLS team progressing and really seeing the growth and excitement there. So I encourage all fans. I think they have very limited tickets, if any, left now available, but definitely look forward to getting out and seeing our FC Dallas team.
Yeah, third in the West, biggest turnaround, 20 points better than last year, biggest improvement year over year in team history. And I think you and I called this, Monica, because when we had new head coach Nico Estevez on the mic drop, we were really impressed by him, not just with his technical acumen, but just the vibe about bringing the team together and great energy around him. And we could tell that he could be the right fit. So yeah, good luck to our friends at FC Dallas. And this week on Mic Drop Dallas, we are all about the need for speed. So we'll be back in a moment to talk drag racing and the Texas NHRA Fall Nationals, which are in town this weekend with racer dragster Justin Ashley. Now over to Rachel with a word from one of our sponsors.
Join us for the ultimate running weekend at the 2022 BMW Dallas Marathon Festival, December 9th through the 11th. Register your corporate group or team today. 2-person half marathon relay, 5-person marathon relay, and 5K team challenge options available. Perfect for team building. Bring your company out and enjoy all the energy and excitement surrounding the BMW Dallas Marathon Festival this December. Contact groups at rundallas.com for more info.
Thanks, Rachel. And now we are so pleased to be joined on Mic Drop Dallas by Justin Ashley, the youngest driver competing in NHRA's premier top fuel dragster category. He drives the Phillips Connect Toyota Top Fuel Dragster, was Rookie of the Year in 2020 for NHRA. And if going 330 miles per hour isn't enough excitement, he's also the president of Ashley Developers, a real estate investment organization dedicated to the rehabilitation of distressed properties. He's a team owner in NHRA, Texas NHRA Fall Nationals this weekend at the Texas Motorplex in Ennis. Welcome to Mic Drop Dallas, Justin Ashley.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I hear so many good things about the podcast, so I'm excited to be with you today.
So, Justin, I just have to ask, what does it feel like to hit 330 miles an hour in 3.7 seconds?
Yeah, as you can imagine, it's a pretty amazing feeling. It's actually a relatively common question I get a lot, and it's one of those things that's tough to describe, right? Because you can't really compare it to anything. The only thing I'll say is it's almost like you're sitting in a rocket ship and you're kind of taking off, because the speed is one thing, but the acceleration is another. The fact that you go 330 miles per hour in under 4 seconds obviously creates a lot of G-force. So it has a tendency to not necessarily take a toll, but you're able to feel it on your body. You have about 5 Gs when you take off and 5 Gs when you pull the chute. So it's definitely violent, and it's definitely a fast feeling.
So take us on board. What are you thinking right before the light turns green and it's go time?
Yeah, the craziest thing is I'm thinking absolutely nothing. I think that's what the best drivers in the world do, is just simplify their minds like any other athlete. So in the beginning, the first time you do it, there's so many thoughts that are going through your head, and over the course of time, you naturally just simplify it. And just like the game slows down, the race itself slows down. But it's just kind of peace of mind. I think for a lot of drivers, that's where we're at our best, is where we're not focused on all the distractions, all the stuff that goes on the outside, but just focused on our job. So the main thought process is just keeping the car straight, making sure it goes A to B, and having a good reaction time off the line, and hopefully collecting a win at the end of the race.
So this is the big weekend, Texas Fall Nationals underway. This is the NHRA playoffs, basically. You're the points leader with just 3 races left. Can you give our listeners a preview of what to expect this weekend?
Yeah, so this is going to be a particularly special weekend. We are racing at the Texas Motorplex. It's a stampede of speed, and Billy Meyer, Christy Meyer, Elin Werner, everybody that handles the Texas Motorplex does such a fantastic job this week, because it's more than just a race. It really is a week of entertainment, and this weekend's going to be special. So Friday and Saturday, we'll have 2 qualifying runs each day. And then Sunday, they'll take the top 16 cars and we'll race against each other. But, the beautiful part about this race and the beautiful part about NHRA is that every ticket literally is a pit pass. So for people that want to come out, bring their families, not only do you smell the nitromethane, you can genuinely and actually feel the cars vibrate as they go down the racetrack. It's an amazing feeling. The families are able to walk up and down the pit area, engage with the drivers, have a good time. The teams are able to sign autographs. So it's going to be a wild, wacky, and fun weekend. It is the 4th race of the playoffs, so it's coming down to the wire. So if you want to talk about a playoff atmosphere, this is as good as it gets. Comparing it to like football, we're getting close to like the divisional round or the AFC or NFC championship. So all bets are off, and it's going to be tight racing this weekend.
So Justin, I have to ask people who want to get into this type of racing, what's the avenue? How do you do that?
Yeah. So, we kind of have a special program. It's called Junior Dragsters. So you see these kids out there racing, really from 5 years old, which is amazing. They have these little race cars. I think it goes 5 to around 17. And you could probably start around 20 miles an hour and go all the way up to probably around 80 or 90 miles an hour. So a lot of these kids start out in junior dragsters like myself and grow to be professional race car drivers, and are fortunate to be able to do it. So the junior dragster program is probably the best way to get into drag racing. And I think it's a wonderful thing. It's really a family atmosphere, and it's a great way to get involved in the sport.
Justin, we've had Christy on the podcast before, and we know all about the Stampede of Speed. What she has done and her family have done out at the Motorplex is incredible in terms of engaging in the fans. To tell us, who are the typical fans that come out, and what do you like best about interacting with them?
Yeah, they're so engaged and they are so knowledgeable. I think one thing that stands out to me is when you go to these different places, mostly the same tracks each and every year, is that you see the same people because they genuinely love it. You're going to have 25,000 to 50,000 people out there throughout the weekend at each event. And I think probably what stands out the most is just their passion. They genuinely love drag racing and they're knowledgeable about it. They ask questions. They want to learn about it. And it's nice to be able to see those same faces year in and year out when you return to places that you were the year prior. So the fans are really amazing. They're definitely loyal fans, and they help us as NHRA fans because we love and appreciate racing in front of a big crowd.
We mentioned Christy Meyer Johnson, but the opportunities for women are not just off the track. I can go back to the 70s. I remember Shirley Muldowney and, of course, the 1983 movie Heart Like a Wheel, starring Bonnie Bedelia, the great Bonnie Bedelia, playing Shirley Muldowney. What is it about drag racing? NHRA really was ahead of its time in many ways. Through Elin, we know all about Brittany Force. There's a number of other women still competing in the playoffs. What is it about drag racing that has afforded so many opportunities for women?
It's amazing. It's far and away the most diverse sport out there. You have women driving, Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. There's all different races, religions driving. And I think it's an absolutely fantastic, program that NHRA puts out because of the diversity. And, I think a big reason for that is just there's opportunity. There's opportunity that's there. And, for these women to be able to drive. And I think it's a really special thing because it shouldn't matter it should just be based on performance. It should be based on the type of person and the type of driver and the type of team that you have. And, we all have that mutual respect for each other. And I think that goes a long way. And that's a big part of it and a big part of the opportunity that's out there. And we have a lot of female drivers competing in the professional categories. Each one is better than the next. Each one is tougher than the next. You mentioned Brittany Force, Shirley Muldowney, Leah Pruitt. There's a lot of them, and they will take your head off. Make no mistake about it. If you're not on your A game, they will put you on the trailer and send you home. So they're great at what they do. And it's nice to be racing in a sport, that represents diversity and provides opportunity for women and, all different kinds of people.
Now, of course, Toyota is now based in the Dallas area, their North American operation. With you being, the Phillips Connect is a Toyota team, is there an advantage, for you being so close to Toyota, that come into play at all?
It does. I mean, it is so great to have a relationship with Toyota for a number of different reasons. They do a great job on the marketing side for the teams and for the drivers, but particularly Toyota Gazoo Racing North America and the data and the information that they provide our team and the other Toyota teams goes such a long way. Before each and every pass down the racetrack, we get a list of such detailed data and information that our crew chiefs are able to use that really directly correlate to us winning races and going rounds and performing well on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So there's always an advantage. And racing in Dallas this weekend, by Toyota headquarters, just puts that much more emphasis, on how well we want to do this weekend. It is the fourth race of the countdown. The pressure's on. We need to perform in order to put ourselves in a position to win the championship. But, racing for Phillips Connect, racing in Dallas, where Toyota headquarters is something that we absolutely love to do, and we're excited about it.
One more before I lob it back to Monica. You played college football at Ithaca. I know you're a Jets fan, which my condolences. Although it means that you're a tough guy, because I know as a lifelong White Sox fan, it's way easier to be a fan of the Yankees or one of the Dodgers right now. But tell us about your football career. What position did you play? What kind of player were you?
So I played receiver. I actually played quarterback my whole life until my senior year of high school, and I switched to wide receiver. I'm from New York, so I went to a relatively big high school in Long Island, New York. And then I walked on actually to Division III school and played 3 years there at Ithaca College. So Ithaca has a tremendous football program. I think right now they're ranked like number 12 or 13 in Division III. So more so than anything else, I think, how it is with sports. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you about life. So I absolutely love football. It's a big passion of mine, not only playing, but following and studying the game. So, that taught me a lot about life. It actually helped make me a better race car driver, just understanding how to focus and understanding how to perform better and work well with the team. So, loved playing football. I played for 3 years at Ithaca College, and just, I really, was fortunate to have that experience and enjoy that experience.
So this is your racing is a family business, I think. Your father, Mike, was a multi-time NHRA champion, and he's now your chief marketing officer. So what is it like working with Dad? Any disagreements? How does that work out?
It's awesome. I grew up around the racetrack. So my father raced funny car, raced pro mod for many years. So that's how naturally I kind of fell in love with the sport. But one thing that I learned from an early age is how important the business side of racing is. That is first. And first and foremost, you have to have that part down before you actually get out there and drive. And working with him now as my chief marketing officer is really a wonderful thing. It's amazing because I learned from him growing up, and I'm learning from him today. And, he takes a very active role in working with our partners, and he helps our team become better because of it. So listen, not everything's perfect. We don't always see eye to eye as father and son do, as people who work together do, as you can imagine. I'm sure to be a fly on the wall during some of the conversations, I'm sure would be relatively interesting. But at the end of the day, the cool part is we know that we want to do what's in the best interest of our partners, what's in the best interest of our team. So the common goals are there. We share some funny times and funny experiences working together, but it all comes full circle. And, we're very, very fortunate to be working with my father because of his knowledge and, and how much work ethic and commitment he puts into this.
Well, Justin, we wish you nothing but the best this weekend out at NHRA and out in Ennis at the Motorplex. Really thankful for you joining us here on the mic drop, and look forward to continuing to follow your career as we proceed. And I'm sure we'll ask you back on the mic drop sometime in the near future. So thank you again. And now I'm going to throw it over to Rachel for a word from one of our sponsors.
Thank you.
Love lacrosse? Need a part-time gig? IWLCA is looking for workers to help out at the IWLCA President's Cup and IWLCA debut, November 18th through the 20th. Open positions include setup/breakdown, field marshaling, Gatorade, and hospitality. Spend your weekend with us in Dallas. Contact Rena Weiss at rweiss@elitetournaments.com to learn more. Again, that's Rena Weiss at rweiss@elitetournaments.com.
Thanks, Rachel. And now we are so pleased to be joined by Texas Motor Speedway General Manager Mark Faber. He took on that role in last August. More than 30 years experience in the sports industry, including a 17-year run with AEG, a company which runs arenas and stadiums all over the world. Most recently, since 2014, Mark was the SVP of Global Partnerships and ran T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. He's also a Kansas Jayhawk, which all of a sudden is good at football. We're gonna get into that maybe. I'm not sure how that happened, but way to go. So Mark, thanks for joining us and welcome to Mic Drop Dallas.
Rock Chalk, thanks so much for having me, Kevin and Monica. This is great. And Sully, it's great to see you again after all this time. So it's great to be back in the great state of Texas.
Well, we're happy to have you. Really happy for you on this, your appointment to be the GM at Texas Motor Speedway. Now, you've done a lot of great things in your career. Learfield going back in the day, the Cowboys in that role, the Orange, but lots of stuff we'll talk about. But no motorsports background. So how did this happen? How has it gone so far? Fill us in on kind of how this came about and what your experience has been so far. You got your first race at TMS under your belt a few weeks ago. Fill us in.
Yeah, and I had a brief moment in time back after Host Communications days in the mid to late 90s with an IRL team back then. That stint lasted about 7 months because they sold the race team. So you're right. I really don't have a lot of motorsports background. I have done some consulting on Daytona International Speedway, and back then it was PIR when they were looking at premium seating. But you're right. I mean, there's nothing like what I have been blessed to be a part of, going to work for Marcus Smith and the Smith family and Speedway Motorsports and Texas Motor Speedway. So it's an awesome opportunity. It came out of left field, and we left Dallas Fort Worth 17 years ago. And as a part of that process, like you said, AEG to be a part of the launch team for Sprint Center as a part of the downtown revitalization there. And then to do the same thing and be the first boots on the ground again for AEG in Vegas with T-Mobile Arena and the MGM Grand Garden Arena, which we invested in. And, those are two, world-class arenas at the top of their size classification. So hard to leave AEG, hard to leave that. But to get involved with motorsports and be a part of this 1,500-acre campus is just amazing, just phenomenal.
Short term, I mean, you've only been there a couple of months, but what opportunities have you already identified as opportunities for growth?
Sully, one of the things that I came up with, and just talking about the people, and look, there's a lot of great people who have worked here a long time. They're very passionate about what they do here. They're passionate about this footprint and Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. But, hashtag reverse the trend. And we saw this at T-Mobile Arena, and other teams and other facilities are seeing this as well. People and families got real comfortable sitting at home with big screen TVs and watching whatever they're watching, sports and entertainment, in the comfort of their, media room or their living room or wherever. and kind of nesting, right? And so, what we were putting an emphasis on before I came here was decouching. I've used that term in a couple of conversations like this. How do you get people off of the couch? How do you get people to come to whether it's Texas Motor Speedway for great racing, or a Mavericks game, or a Stars game, or a Cowboys game, or whatever? And I know the Cowboys, traditionally don't have issues getting 80 to 90,000. My former employers there, but FC Dallas, whatever that is. How do you get people to come back out? And at the end of the day, it's the entertainment. And so Speedway Motorsports has done that and had some great, I want to say, complementary, supplementary entertainment elements as a part of the race weekend. Race weekend will always be core. The racing on the track is always going to be the core element, just like the game on the ice, the game on the court, the game on the field. However, what can you do to make it a fun environment and come out for families? Can you have, like we did, you have Daughtry on a pre-race concert, all-star race. We had Blake Shelton as a pre-race concert. This past racing weekend, we had the wonderful men and women from Fort Hood come up here, showcase tanks, military equipment, giving fans an opportunity to see who they are as human beings, and also promote, obviously, the Army. We had micro wrestlers, we had snake shows, we had cirque performers, we had trackside live interviews with drivers. There's a lot of things for a lot of different people. And so, 6 weeks that I've been here, I just went to Charlotte Motor Speedway for the race there at Roval. They're doing some pretty unique things outside as well with entertainment. That's where we're heading, I think, as a facility, but also as an industry. And like I said, I've been drinking from a fire hydrant for the past 6 weeks, so I'm just eyes open and ears open.
What about long term? If you could imagine 3 years from now, 5 years from now, this is what it looks like. Maybe it's even beyond the race weekends at TMS. You mentioned 1,500-acre campus, a lot of possibility there. Long term, what are the ways that you could be more engaged year round with sports and entertainment fans in Dallas-Fort Worth?
We are, from my background, I'm very community oriented, and I'm not sure that there has been a direct connection with the community in the past. And so I am personally, as well as our team, going to get out in the community and be involved in the community. We have, for example, Tony Stewart's Smoke Show today out at the Speedway, which is a fundraiser for our Speedway Children's Charities arm, which is really important to me personally, about children and what we can do in North Texas and Texas as a whole. So, people donate money to Speedway Children's Charities. They get an opportunity to ride around this great 1.5 mile oval track with Tony Stewart today. And that's a pretty cool thing. I come from the content world. Between our two arenas that I worked at in Las Vegas, we had 130 to 150 publicly ticketed events a year. It's always about content. So what can we do here from a content standpoint? We have a Hispanic festival the first weekend in November. Can we do some more festivals out here? Can we do a country festival? Can we do a rock festival? What else can we do out here from a fan engagement or citizen engagement out here? We have the Speedway Club. I walk in today and there's 2 events in the Speedway Club, which is fantastic. So we have a 1,500-acre campus that can be utilized for a number of different platforms, a number of different events. And so, that's what we're doing. We have the Winter Wonderland coming up, which I haven't experienced here, but I know that we did that out in Las Vegas, so I've seen that. So we just want to engage with fans. We want them to come back. And so that's what we're trying to accomplish fourth quarter, but especially going into 2023.
Well, Mark, I definitely vote Country Festival. Go with Country Festival. I'll be out there. No problem there. How does your past experiences with AEG, the Orange Bowl, Learfield, and the Cowboys really help you in this transition and your goals for the future?
Great question. It's given me a confidence that, Monica, that I've been involved with a number of high-profile events throughout my career, right? So, the Orange Bowl, I was an intern at the ticket office in the Orange Bowl after leaving a full-time gig at banking in Kansas City because I wanted to break into sports. And so Steve Hatchell, Steve hired me as an intern and said, "Hey, Mark, this is your opportunity to get into the business. You're not going to be here long." And it was great. So the Orange Bowl, 6 weeks into my job, I get promoted to ticket manager, knowing nothing about the ticketing world. I'm just an intern. And, you jump in, full feet into the fire. And so I learned that, and then had the opportunity to come over with the Jimmy Johnson crew when Jerry bought the Cowboys. And that's probably where I met Sully back then. But, go from 1-15, adverse conditions, both on and off the field, to turning that around and, being a part of world championship teams and Super Bowl teams. And so, you learn that lesson about how to face adversity. So we're not judged by how we handle success. We're judged by how we handle adversity. And for me personally, it's faith, family, friends / colleague, and fun. So the 4 F's. And so my guiding principles that I've learned throughout my career, on your question there, Monica, are driven by those 4 principles. And so one of the first things I wanted to do is, with this passionate staff, many of whom opened this facility 26 years ago, and, I realize I'm their 3rd general manager in the past, 15 or 16 months. So there's a lot of change. There's a lot of uncertainty. And what's the direction? Well, it starts with our core people and our core values with Speedway Motorsports, and then utilizing my experience to connect in that manner. And then how do we all work together to have remarkable events? How do we engage, like I said, in the community? And I've already started outreach, like I said, in the community. And this is a great first start for me to meet you, Monica, is, what can we do together to better the community? A rising tide raises all ships. And so that's where our philosophy is. And we want to have full grandstands next year, and it's slowly coming that way. We had, pretty good footprint this past race. We had RV camping corporate was sold out. We had more suite usage than we've had in almost 10 years. All of our premium seating was sold out. The grandstands look pretty good. So what we're trying to do is, what can we do for fans and people to come out? And that's what we're focused on.
Well, you're kind of going directly into my next 2 questions. A lot of it some of my questions have to do with, the up and coming generations, those that I teach at SMU undergraduate class. So I always try to throw some nuggets or get some nuggets that if they're listening, which hopefully they are, they can, take that and use that for experience down the road. But from a fan experience standpoint, your experience at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Sprint Center in Kansas City, how does that translate into, you have a much bigger footprint now. So going from a smaller venue and surrounding development area to what you have at Texas Motor Speedway.
It's a one day at a time philosophy, Monica. You talk about a younger group and a younger generation. So that's one of the focal points for us, as well as Speedway Motorsports. Number one, how do we grow that younger demo? Now, when you come to our races, you'll see families coming. So we know that we have families and we have young children who are coming with their mothers and their fathers who are passionate about racing and fun events out here. But to your point, how do we grow that younger demographic group? So this past race weekend, we had social influencers who have significant following on Twitter or IG or wherever to come out and experience race weekend, then obviously come out and post. We had comedians who have significant followers on a younger demographic group to be MC, help out and be part of the action. We had the actors from Top Gun Maverick, 3 of the younger actors who were out here and were Grand Marshal and part of the green flag ceremony. And so we are targeting that group. And so we want to be very strategic in how we grow that group. And so to your point, coming from T-Mobile Arena, which has multiple different types of events, so I'm saying, okay, what kind of events can we do to target those social media influencers and that younger group? So we're looking at doing that as well. But I think it starts almost at a grassroots level to try to grow it from there. And that's what we're working on.
Well, you mentioned kind of talked about culture a little bit and the staff that you have out there who've been there for a very long time, and what your key focus points are. We like to ask our guests to describe their leadership style. How would you describe yours?
I touched on that earlier, but I think I'm certainly faith driven, and I think my leadership style focuses on that. It's a servant leadership style. It's not really about me. I'm the next steward of Texas Motor Speedway. This, like you said, 1,500 acre property. It's like a huge oil tanker. How do you change an oil tanker? How do you move it, slightly? And so it starts with servant leadership, and how can I lead and help others succeed on my team? If we all do well, we all succeed, right? So how can I help our leadership team? And we have a number of key veterans here that are a part of the leadership team. We have others that are in new roles. So I have weekly one-on-one meetings with my leadership group here. And I talk about, personally, how are you doing? Coming out of the pandemic at AEG, we put a big focus on mental, emotional, physical health. I added spiritual health to that. It just depends on the individual, but I'm really cognizant, Monica, of the mental and emotional health, and then especially now physical health and spiritual health. So I have tasked several people here in my short time about, I want to know how you're doing first as a human being. Forget the work. How are you doing as a human being? And then if you're okay, that's great. If you're not okay, let's work through that first and foremost, right? And so that's a big part of what I'm just trying to do. And I'm just trying to learn who people are, what they're all about, what are their priorities, what are their goals professionally and personally, and how can I assist? And then from a leadership standpoint, I want to make sure that people know what the focal point is for what we're doing for big events here. We want people to come out. We want to sell tickets. We want to make it fun. We want to have corporations participate. We want the whole community here to be involved. And so, like I said, reverse the trend. We had a good race to start that with this past fall, and we have truck race and IndyCar the first weekend of April, and then we also have Xfinity and the Cup race in September. And so we're focusing on those, plus COTA in Austin. We also lend a hand to our colleagues down there for the NASCAR race at the end of March. So 5 major big events, and then we're going to have Good Guys. We're going to have Hispanic Festival in November, and we're going to have other events, and we're going to continue to grow the pie, so to speak.
Well, Mark, best of luck in your new adventures at Texas Motor Speedway. We know you're going to deliver the goods because you always have. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing for your Jayhawks that Monica's Longhorns roughed them up so badly, because that's, if I'm not mistaken, I think Kansas has OU this weekend. I don't know. What do you think? Is it good to play them coming off a 49-0 shellacking, or would you rather have them be a little bit more, riding high?
What's amazing, and this, Sully, is that, a basketball school coming off a national championship, and then all of a sudden 5-0 in football. Our starting quarterback went down the second quarter, and being the backup quarterback came in and did a real nice job, and I think had 4 touchdowns. So with the Longhorns pasting OU, which I think was a shocker to everybody in the college football world except for Monica, we're going to Norman as -7.5 underdogs, and I think that Coach Leipold and the coaching staff will utilize that to their advantage, because we did beat Texas last year, if you recall, and that was kind of a springboard for getting some confidence as a young group. And so, we'll see what happens. I'm taking Kansas in 7.5.
Yeah, good call. And you and I have crossed paths a few times over the years. I don't even know if you remember this. I think the last time we spoke was, I don't know, 2011 or somewhere in there. And I called you to ask about the College Basketball Hall of Fame at the Sprint Center in Kansas City, because Tony Fay and I were leading an unofficial campaign to get Rolando Blackman inducted, which actually happened in 2015. And so I want to thank you publicly for the guidance that you gave us on how to help make that happen for Roe. Even though he's a K-State guy, you rose above the rivalry and helped us out with that. So all those years ago, I still think about how generous you were with your time to help us help Roe get in the College Basketball Hall of Fame.
Appreciate that. Thank you. We're, K-State they're our cousins. I always look at it that way. They're our cousins, and our family is really blessed to have some great, colleges involved. So, we have the KU and then we have the K-State rivalry. I get that. My wife went to Texas Tech undergrad, Baylor Nursing School, Abilene Cooper High School. My mom was born in Dallas, went to SMU her first year, and then went back home to Missouri. My son graduated from Alabama, Roll Tide, and our daughter went to Belmont in Nashville. So we're big into college sports and athletics, and that Basketball Hall of Fame is magnificent up there in Kansas City. And, anything that we can do to get K-State folks in there, we're happy to help with.
Well, Mark, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time. Good luck to you. And now we're excited to welcome to Mic Drop Dallas, Roe Parrish, NBA TV talent, Turner on-air talent. He got noticed, I think, first in his successful championship run as the in-house DJ at Mavericks games, but then became an Emmy Award-winning talent at Fox Sports Southwest, co-hosting the Mavs Insider Show. He's a DeSoto Eagle, 5-1, off to a great start on the gridiron row. Welcome to Mic Drop Dallas.
I appreciate you all for having me. Thanks.
And speaking of DeSoto High School, that is really where you got your start, as I understand it, making recruiting tapes for your teammates. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we've always had a ton of talent in DeSoto. I played there at a time to where we had, 7 guys that played at the highest level in the NFL. Marcus Tubbs, Casey Printers, Ellis Hobbs, Patrick Creighton, Tatum Bell, Anthony Schlegel. Those were just a number of the guys that made it. But anyway, we had a lot of talent. Now, did I have the talent to go pro? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I had injuries. That's another conversation for another day. But I had a love for music, and I knew how to hook up VCRs. That'll date me right there. I knew how to hook up 2 VCRs together and hook up a tape deck and put highlight reels together of my teammates' highlights and put music over them so they can use them for recruiting purposes or just to show at the crib when their family came over and they wanted to show their highlights. So,
and we're talking VHS here, so that's not to date you, but that's not easy.
Yeah, it's not like today when you can pull out your mobile device and you can download a video and edit it with whatever software you have on your phone, which is amazing. I love the technology. Things were a lot different back then.
Now you have the thing that struck me about your personal journey. You have not, a lot of people grind it out, but you have managed your journey, your career. You had this exciting time at the Mavericks, and then at some point you recognized I could do more than be an in-house DJ, and you took some chances. Local TV in Savannah, which didn't work out so well. What advice do you have for young people? You have made it. You've accomplished so much, but you managed it. You sort of planned it out and tried some things. You weren't afraid to fail. What advice do you have for young people? A lot of people listen to the Mic Drop that want to get into careers in sports and entertainment. What guidance would you offer them?
Well, the first thing I'll say is nobody's built like you. You design yourself. Those are words from Jay-Z that I like to repeat. If you are passionate and you clearly believe in what you want to do and who you are, don't allow anyone else to hate on you. Don't allow someone to put their insecurities on you. There's so many avenues and different platforms for you to make it to be in front of the screen or behind the mic. There's so many different ways to do it today. you can create your own platform and do what you want to do, but don't let anybody tell you what you can't do, because again, they're just looking at their own shortcomings and unfortunately putting them on you. Just keep pushing.
The Mavericks open the season October 19th at Phoenix with the home opener against Memphis on the 22nd. What are your expectations for the Mavs this season?
First off, we got to start with Luka the Don. He will continue to elevate his play. He is beyond elite right now. Last year in the playoffs, 32, 10, and 6. The Western Conference Finals in his 4th season. Let me just throw some numbers out there just to be a little stat geek. So he's averaged at least 35 and 5 in his last playoffs. The only player in NBA history to reach those marks in 3 straight postseasons, the one and only Michael Jordan, who did it from 89 to 93. So clearly Luka is on that level. He needs to be an MVP type player. He will be an MVP contender, no question. Listen, the sky's the limit for Luka. Now, how is that going to translate to team success? That's going to be the big question. Jason Kidd has done an excellent job. I'm looking at the Mavericks to be a top 4 seed this season in the Western Conference.
Oh, I like this prediction. And Ro, we had Nico Harrison on last week. He said he was particularly excited about Jaden Hardy. What do you think, or who do you think may surprise fans or have the most impact this season for the Mavs?
Well, it's going to be interesting. You know, losing Jalen Brunson was huge, but congratulations to him for securing the bag and going to the crib back to New York with his fam. So that's amazing, becoming a father too. But when you look at someone like Jaden Hardy, you want to keep him on your radar. The 2nd round pick coming out of the G League, you know, playing for the Ignite team. He was one of the top recruits in his class, I believe 2nd overall. And he's shown that he can, you know, he has the potential to be a dynamic playmaker. We already know that Jason Kidd has come out and said Spencer Dinwiddie and Tim Hardaway Jr. will be reserves coming off the bench. So that might have the opportunity present itself right there for Jaden to step into that starting lineup. But, you know, he's still young. He showed some flashes of potential, but we don't know yet. But keep an eye on him to be a key contributor for the Mavericks this season.
Bro, we've had Shaq on the podcast, and you get to work with him on your own podcast with him. What is that like?
Shaq is the biggest kid that I've ever met. He's a grown man, but he is a giant kid, and I say that in the most endearing way. He has been hands down one of the best people that I've ever worked with. He's taken me places that I'd never been before. I'd never been on a private jet before I started hanging out with Shaq. So thanks a lot for being able to jump on a PJ at a moment's notice. You get the itinerary via hey, we're leaving out in an hour. Be ready. You know, being on stages, you know, going to other countries, but along with that, just being a good human being. He's a great person as far as what he's done in the business world and obviously as a basketball player. But one thing I'll say about him, he's a better father to his kids than he was a basketball player or he is an entertainer. So salute to Shaq. That's my man.
Where could give us your schedule now these days? Where can our listeners and YouTube viewers find you?
So, well, and I'll go ahead and break this news now. I will not be returning to Turner Sports this fall. So I have a number of different ventures that I'm involved in right now. One of them will be working with 2-time Super Bowl champion Ray Crockett. He has a show called Crockett's Corner that will be on Fox this fall. I also will be taking my talents to ESPN, working with them in a number of different capacities. And I also have some other business ventures that I'm really focused on right now. So it's a really big season of change right now for me.
Well, we wish you the best of luck with that. And before we let you go, we have a tradition, particularly with our media members that come on Mic Drop Dallas, to ask, you know, for a streaming or a download recommendation. It could be music, podcast, TV, book, movie, you name it. What are you watching, listening to, reading, streaming these days?
Well, in all honesty, I need suggestions. I've really been away from television and all types of that form of entertainment this past summer, just focusing on other ventures that I spoke about. I love hip hop, so I'm constantly paying attention to Drink Champs, the show with Nori. But other than that, I've pretty much stayed clear. I am awaiting the return of Billions on Showtime. That is one of my favorite shows.
I'm right there with you.
Although it's kind of different now. since Bobby Axelrod's no longer a part of the scene. But I'm looking for suggestions. Maybe you guys can tell me something.
I would say the show on Hulu and FX, The Bear, which I'm from Chicago, and it's a story of a kind of a Chicago Italian beef restaurant, and it's really, really good. They take on all kinds of issues, but the dialogue is incredible. Great writing. I like that. The Bear is a recommendation I would pass along for a TV show. But lots of stuff out there. I know Monica's too busy, bringing big money and economic impact to North Texas to have time to watch or listen to too much.
Yeah, Sully, I haven't been on the Netflix or even reading books other than the one I read on vacation, and that was just pure fiction and fun. Nothing to get too excited about. But I think I'm going to the lake this weekend, so I may have some recommendations next week.
I know Marcus has something. I know Marcus has something for you, Ro.
Yeah, Ro, I definitely have something for you. A couple of weeks ago, we had William Mao on the podcast, and he was particularly excited about 38 at the Garden, the Jeremy Lin documentary on HBO Max. I checked that out last night, and I thought it was particularly interesting. It was a different perspective of I think of the situation. You get inside Jeremy Lin's head a little bit, kind of through and through. As a basketball fan, basketball lover, I think you would absolutely love it. And then, I think the new Giannis Disney movie is extremely intriguing to me. It's not my typical cup of tea, but I thought it was actually really good. So that's two basketball ones. I'll leave you.
Okay, awesome. I'll take that. And I lied. I did read Will Smith's book. I read his autobiography this summer. It took me longer to read it than I wanted to, since there was a lot of moving parts, but I did read that, and I would recommend, whoever's listening or viewing this, check out Will's book. It's amazing. It gives you a deep look into his life.
How do you think that situation plays out? The resolution of the Chris Rock slap, and with Will so talented, so popular, so likable for so many years, now in a jam. What do you think happens?
Yeah, well, one thing I'll say about Will, and I don't know him personally. However, I am really good friends with his musical partner, DJ Jazzy Jeff. And the one thing I know about Will is he's always going to figure out a way to come out on top and rebound. Whether it be, when him and Jeff were together making music and their second album flopped, they came back and produced one of the greatest hip hop songs, or one of the greatest songs ever created, in Summertime. So whether he's had some flops in movies, he's been able to come back and rebound. So whatever's going to happen, I know that he's going to come back and take the right steps to clean up his image and anything that anybody's ever thought negatively about him, he's going to change that. He's done it many times already.
Well said. Well, Ro Parrish, thanks so much for joining us here on Mic Drop Dallas. Really appreciate the time. And on behalf of Monica Paul and the Dallas Sports Commission, thanks to our other guests as well, Justin Ashley and Mark Faber. Thanks to the Mic Drop production team, our producer, Icy Strain, Marcus Carr. Thanks to Rennet Vocal Media, our showrunner, Tony Fay. Until next time, thanks for listening and watching on YouTube, everybody.